But in the meantime, let's catch up with Craig Jepson, because the last time we left Craig, he is the Mayor of Kaipara, he was in a bit of bother. We want to see if that bother at Kaipara has calmed down after the karakia incident, or whether it lingers still. Craig, welcome to the show. Nice to talk to you again. How's it going? Is it all calmed down now? You're getting back into the real stuff?
Yeah, I'm trying to. I think that hasn't calmed down. We've still got the activist element banging away at me. But look, I've had some really good meetings with some of our iwi here, and they're really nice people to deal with. And even though we may not agree on everything, we're going to make good progress for Maori in our district. And the relationship, I feel, is still good.
Right. Now, you the whole thing started because you said you didn't want karakia to start council meetings. You've come to a compromise, which is that whatever any councillor, so you rotate it around the table, wants to say is fine. But the activists say, no, that isn't the solution. Karakia are compulsory. Have I got that right?
Yeah, that's what they would prefer. We came to a meeting arrangement where all our councillors agreed that prior just to the opening of the meeting, prior to the meeting, just before, that each person on a pro rata basis would be able to have a reflection, a karakia, make a statement, whatever they wished, and then we'd open the meeting and away we'd go. But that has still not satisfied some of these people.
What's their aim? To make sure that karakia open every council meeting whether Māori are there or not?
Look, after going through this whole thing, I think there's a section there that actually it's got nothing to do with the karakia. It's got everything to do with imposing, subjugating the rest of us to their wants. I've got no problems with karakia, except that I didn't want it in my format because I decided as the chair, which I have the right to under the standing orders, I may or may not have karakia or any other reflection or statement in my meetings, and I had a number of people said to me they were not happy with continually having karakia beginnings and endings. So I thought, well, the only solution to that is to have a secular council where every culture, race, religion, whatever, is equally respected. So I didn't have it. So,
and that's the issue, isn't it, really? At the end of the day, you have got more than one culture in Northland.
Well, we have, and what's happening in these environments where it's being enforced is, you have a break for a cup of tea and a bite to eat, and they want to bless that. Well, not all of us are part of that almost religious fervour for everything. We just want to get there and do the business, and everyone gets an equal opportunity. And in fact, under the Local Government Act, I'm actually charged with treating everybody equally in my environment. And so I go out of my way not to give preferential treatment to everybody. That doesn't mean to say that I'm not obligated to give Maori every opportunity to participate, and that's also, very clear. But the problem is these Maori activists are on a roll, and they're supported at every step of the way by mainstream media and the Labor government at the moment, and they don't realise that in terms of standing orders, if you behave the way they've been behaving at my meetings at the Parliament, you'd be thrown out in 2 seconds. And in lots of ways, local government is just another form of government, and we have protocols, and when we're in our meeting house, we follow our protocols. When I go to Marae and meeting houses around my district, I'm more than willing to follow their protocol. I don't make trouble. I'm there to listen and participate and give everyone opportunity in my district.
Craig, you were elected. This is your first term as mayor, is that right?
That's correct.
And previously you were a councillor on the Kaipara District Council? No,
I was a concrete layer and a developer. I've done 100 odd sections in my district. And interestingly enough, I've got a very close friend who was my business partner. He's he's a Maori boy that's doing really well. He's making $300,000 a year now, and we still talk. And I've dealt with, this is where I get really upset with people like Dame Glavich. She calls me a racist, but they know nothing about my previous work history or my dealings with people in my everyday life. I don't believe I'm a racist at all. I'm happy to work with all groups of people. I don't see colour when I deal with in my business dealings or in my friendships. It's just, not even thought about. And that's the thing that gets me about what's happening in this country. We're making issues where there is not a lot of issues. If you go down our communities here, everybody's happy to get on. We always used to sort out our minor problems between ourselves. There was never, there's always going to be a degree of racism from all forms of all groups in our society, but generally speaking, New Zealanders just want to get on and move ahead,
You're talking about Dame Naida Glavish. God knows why she made a Dame, but there you go. She has been. She has.
Yeah, Michael, you're fading out.
Sorry. For some strange reason, my fader was down. My apologies. I've
got you.
Dame Naida Glavish has called for your resignation. Still, this month. Why?
Look, I think she craves her own attention. I mean, I've been actually very careful to keep my words brief, and this is only the second interview I've done on radio. I haven't done any live interviews. I've been very careful to actually try not to inflame the situation, because I think that getting involved in too much discussion does just that. You're better to get on with trying to get your ducks in a line for your own council and get on with the things that really matter. I just think they need to feed off something, and this has become an issue that gives them a lot of mileage, and I think it'll die needless too. I've got a good council. I've got good support in my council. I believe I have good support from most of my iwi in my district. I'm making an effort to consult with them and give them opportunities to participate. And that's my role, and I'll just continue to do that. And I don't think there's any basis for having me resign from my position. If you look at the legal side of it, under the Local Government Act, under the standing orders, I'm doing my job, and I'm doing it. I'm doing it without breaking any laws. I'm holding my line. I'm not going to back up, because I don't believe I need to. I think I'm doing the right thing by my district. I'm certainly getting a lot of support. I won over half the vote here, and I stood quite clearly against co-governance. I stated quite clearly in all my advertising that all people should be treated equally, and that's where I'm going to continue to focus on.
Yes, I'm reading her article that was written, and most New Zealanders won't have read this. You will have, but I've only just come across it the last day or so. It's an extraordinary invective against you personally. She says you are a mere mayor who is duty-bound under the local government to respect the principles of the Te Tiriti o Waitangi while performing his civic duty. And then she says, what man's law in the scheme of things compares to our law, L-O-R-E, our karanga atua tanga? It keeps us well, and I mean the whole country, not just Māori, in terms of whānau and family being united. This is superstitious gibberish. This is an argument that because you do a karakia, Māori spirituality is somehow keeping this country from falling apart and our economy apparently to be sustained. I mean, how can you tolerate that sort of nonsense?
Yeah, well, that's the sort of garbage we're expected to accept. I mean, she also referred to me in that article as she related me to Captain James Cook. I mean, what an honour, the greatest mariner the world's ever seen. But the inference wasn't lost when you go back to that horrid piece of so-called art that was put out the week before, where all descendants of James Cook should have the knife in them. I mean, these people are nasty, and I can never understand why people like her have honours, put on them when they behave this way. It's not on, actually, and she doesn't know the law. Maori Te Kanga or protocol is not referred to in any statute in New Zealand that binds local authorities.
No.
I'm complying with all the relevant laws of New Zealand.
Of course you are. And finally, she also says, you're right, she references, she says, you're no better than Captain Cook, which is just bizarre. And then she goes on, and how dare this mayor deny today's generation and the unborn children of Aotearoa New Zealand from the beauty of enjoying both, not just reo Pākehā, but the power of both languages at council meetings. You're not, I guess, if somebody, like, for example, you've just got a newly elected Māori ward councillor, if they spoke at Māori at the council meeting, I guess most people wouldn't understand them, would they?
No, well, in fact, there's protocols for that too. If you speak in Māori at a council meeting, you need to provide a translation because, even though we're trying hard for people in this country to learn the Māori language, only about 2 or 3% know it. So, if you couldn't run a meeting in Māori fully, it still wouldn't work.
No. Oh, well, don't worry about it. I'm sure you've still got strong backing from Kaipara. And, I mean, I anticipate that you wouldn't be where you are today without strong public support, Craig. Just forget the karakia and that for one instance, and I know it must be difficult for you, but what's the primary issue that you've got for the next 2.5 years as mayor?
Oh, look, I'm really worried about the economy, Michael. I think we're going into tough times. We've got heaps of residents here in our communities that are trying to survive still on 30 or 40,000 a year. I don't know how the hell they do it. And so I've got a priority to try and keep the cost down here and drive an economy. We're trying to, our big challenge is to try and put out a district plan that enables people to more easily subdivide smaller lots in our district so we can get more ratepayers. We've only got 18,000 ratepayers. We only collect 42 million a year, so it's pretty tough to do much, and so I feel quite protective towards my community here. We need to be able to basically survive the next few years and somehow grow an economy. We've got demographics around the world that are dropping, populations are dropping. Auckland for the first time is losing people. So, in our district, which is right on the boundary of Auckland, we want to welcome them with open arms, bring their talents, bring their money, subdivide here, make the rural locations boom again. We've got small townships where we just need more people to make those shops survive, so we can bring doctors and dentists and all those people communities need into our districts. You go to Dargaville, they haven't got a dentist in Dargaville at the moment. It's a population of 6,000 people. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So those are the priorities that we should all be driving for, and I want to do that with Māori on board because they particularly are affected, and bitching at each other is never going to get anywhere. We need to all work together.
Yeah, well said. Thank you very much. And all power to you, Craig. That is Craig Jepson, the Mayor of Kaipara. Thank you very much for joining us today. Yes, that's a good way to finish it, though. Bitching at each other will never get us anywhere. I wonder if Mara Davidson looks at the world that way.